The grand ballroom inside the Romano Palace glittered with crystal chandeliers, golden decorations, and the richest people in the city. Mafia leaders, politicians, celebrities, and business owners filled the room, each pretending to smile while secretly watching one another. It was the annual Romano Charity Gala, but everyone knew the real reason people came. They wanted to see Billionaire Romano, the most powerful mafia boss in New York. Billionaire had everything a man could want. Power, money, respect, fear, but there was one thing nobody had ever seen him do. Dance. Rumors said he had refused every invitation for the past 10 years. Some believed he hated dancing, others believed it reminded him of someone he had lost. No one knew the truth that night. However, everything changed because of one unexpected woman. She wasn't a model, she wasn't famous, she wasn't even invited as a guest. She was working as one of the event planners. Her name was Olivia Bennett. She had spent the entire evening making sure every table looked perfect, every flower stood straight, and every guest was comfortable. Wearing a simple black dress with a staff badge around her neck, she quietly moved through the ballroom, hoping nobody would notice her. For most of her life, Olivia had tried to stay invisible. Her curvy figure had always attracted unwanted comments. Growing up, classmates laughed whenever she joined sports. At college, people told her she would be pretty if she lost weight. After hearing those words for years, she stopped trying to impress anyone. She focused on working hard instead. Kindness became her confidence. Not beauty. As the orchestra prepared for the first waltz of the evening, a waiter accidentally bumped into Olivia. A tray slipped from his hands. Several glasses crashed onto the marble floor. The loud sound echoed across the ballroom. Hundreds of people turned to look. Olivia quickly knelt down. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, before she could collect the broken glass. Another pair of polished black shoes stopped beside her. She slowly looked up. Billionaire Romano. The entire ballroom watched in silence. Instead of calling security. Instead of getting angry. The mafia boss bent down and helped her pick up the broken pieces. People stared in disbelief. Olivia looked embarrassed. "You don't have to do this." Billionaire smiled slightly. "Neither do you." When the floor was finally clean, she stood and quietly thanked him. Then she hurried away, but something about her stayed in Billionaire's mind. She had not tried to flirt with him. She had not asked for a photo. She had not even seemed impressed by his name. She had simply been worried about making a mess. That was unusual. Very unusual. An hour later, the orchestra announced the opening waltz. Couples gathered at the center of the ballroom. Billionaire remained near the balcony, watching silently. His old friend and advisor, Marco, laughed. "You've avoided dancing for 10 years. Billionaire smiled. "I plan to make it 11. Just then, Marco noticed Olivia arranging flowers near the stage. An idea crossed his mind. He walked toward her. "Miss." She looked up. "Yes, our boss needs a dance partner." Olivia almost laughed. "I think you've chosen the wrong person." Marco shook his head. "No, I chose the right one." Before she could refuse, Marco gently led her toward Billionaire. The guests immediately became curious. Whispers spread through the ballroom. "Who is she?" "She's part of the staff. She shouldn't even be here." Olivia wished the floor would open beneath her. She looked at Billionaire nervously. "I'm sorry. I think there's been a mistake." Billionaire folded his arms. "So you don't dance?" She smiled awkwardly. "I haven't danced in years." "Why?" She hesitated. "People used to laugh." Billionaire looked at her quietly. Then, with a playful smile that almost nobody had ever seen before, he said, "Tell you what. Dance one waltz with me. Double quotes. And I'll marry you." The people standing nearby burst into laughter. Several women covered their mouths. One businessman whispered loudly, "She's far too big to keep up with him." Others nodded. Olivia felt her face grow warm. She looked down. She had heard comments like these her entire life. Billionaire noticed every single reaction. He also noticed that Olivia was already turning away. "Forget it," she whispered. "I shouldn't have come here." She took one step toward the exit. Then Billionaire spoke again. "This time. His voice was serious. "I wasn't joking." The ballroom became silent. Olivia slowly turned back. "What?" "I asked you to dance, not because of your appearance, but because you looked at me." Tonight double quotes like I was simply another man. She stared at him. Nobody had ever heard Damian Romano speak so honestly in public. The orchestra quietly began playing the first notes of the waltz. Damian extended his hand. I'll ask only once. Olivia looked at the hundreds of people watching. Every instinct told her to run, but something in Damian's calm eyes made her stay. Slowly. She placed her hand in his. The music grew louder. The ballroom fell completely silent. As Damian guided her toward the center of the dance floor, dozens of guests exchanged amused smiles. They expected disaster. They expected Olivia to stumble. They expected Damian to regret his decision within seconds. None of them noticed the small smile on the face of the elderly orchestra conductor, because he had recognized Olivia immediately, years ago. Before family problems forced her to quit. She had been one of the finest ballroom dancers in the entire state, and the moment the first full note of the waltz echoed through the ballroom. The conductor whispered to himself, "They have no idea what's about to happen." The first note of the waltz echoed through the ballroom. Every conversation stopped. Hundreds of guests stared at the center of the dance floor, waiting to see the Mafia Boss embarrass himself or the curvy event planner lose her balance in front of the city's most powerful people. Olivia's heart was racing. She hadn't danced in almost 8 years. Not since her father became sick. Not since she sold her dance shoes to help pay hospital bills. Not since cruel words slowly convinced her that someone with curves didn't belong on a ballroom floor. She took one deep breath. Damian noticed her shaking hand. "You can still walk away," he whispered. Olivia looked into his eyes. "No, I've spent too much of my life walking away." A small smile appeared on Damian's face. "Good. Then trust me." The music grew stronger. Damian gently placed one hand on her back. Olivia rested her hand on his shoulder. Then they began to move. For the first few seconds, the ballroom remained silent. Everyone expected a mistake. Instead, Olivia floated across the dance floor. Every step matched the music perfectly. Every turn looked effortless. Her dress moved gracefully with every spin. The orchestra conductor smiled proudly. He had been right. She had never forgotten how to dance. Within moments, the laughter disappeared. The same people who had mocked her only minutes earlier now watched with open mouths. A famous socialite whispered, "She's incredible." Another guest shook his head. "I've never seen Damian dance like this." The truth was, neither had anyone else. For the first time in years, Damian wasn't thinking about business. He wasn't thinking about enemies. He wasn't thinking about power. He was simply enjoying the moment. And somehow Olivia made it feel easy. When the music finally ended, the ballroom exploded with applause. People stood from their seats. Some even cheered. Olivia looked around in complete disbelief. Just minutes earlier, many of these same people had laughed at her. Now they were applauding. She quietly stepped away. "Thank you for the dance." Before she could leave, Damian gently held her hand. "I believe I made a promise." The crowd laughed softly. Olivia smiled. "You were joking." Damian looked at her with a calm expression. "I rarely joke." The room instantly became silent again. Even Marco looked surprised. Was Damian serious? Before anyone could ask another question, photographers rushed forward. Camera flashes filled the ballroom. Damian calmly wrapped his arm around Olivia. He didn't hide her. He proudly stood beside her. That single moment appeared on every news channel the next morning. By sunrise, the entire city was talking. Who is the mystery woman dancing with Damian Romano? The Mafia Boss finally finds someone. Social media divided after Charity Gale's surprise. Some people praised Olivia. Others continued making cruel comments about her size. One television host laughed during a morning show. A Mafia Boss could have married a supermodel. Instead, he chose her. The clip quickly spread online. Olivia saw it while eating breakfast. Her smile faded. Old memories returned. The years of bullying, the cruel jokes, the feeling that she would never be enough. She quietly turned off the television. That afternoon, someone knocked on her apartment door. It was Damian. He noticed her red eyes immediately. "You watched the news?" She nodded. "They're right." "No. They're loud. There's a difference." She looked down. "They'll never stop." Damian answered calmly. "Then let them waste their time." "I won't." 3 days later, Damian organized a charity event for young dancers who couldn't afford professional training. The ballroom was filled with children from poor families. Olivia happily volunteered to help. She adjusted dresses, tied dance shoes, comforted nervous children before they stepped onto the stage. Watching her, Damien finally understood why Luca, his late mentor, always said one thing: you learn who people really are by watching how they treat those who can do nothing for them. Olivia never expected praise. She simply helped. Near the end of the event, an 8-year-old girl named Lily refused to perform. She stood backstage crying, "I'm too fat." Everyone froze. Those words sounded painfully familiar. Olivia slowly knelt beside her. "Who told you that?" "Kids at school." They laughed. Olivia smiled gently. "When I was your age, they laughed at me too." Lily looked surprised. "They did." Olivia nodded, but they were wrong. She placed the little girl's hand over her heart. "Your biggest strength isn't here." She pointed to the girl's body. "It's here." Then she pointed to her heart. "Never let strangers decide your value." Lily smiled. A few minutes later, she walked onto the stage. She danced beautifully. The audience gave her a standing ovation. Damien had watched the entire conversation from the side of the stage. At that moment, he knew. He wasn't impressed by Olivia because she danced well. He admired her because she healed broken confidence wherever she went. That evening, Damien invited Olivia to the rooftop of Romano Tower. The city lights stretched endlessly below them. Neither of them spoke for a while. Finally, Damien broke the silence. "When I said I'd marry you, I thought I was making a joke." Olivia laughed softly. "I know. But now." He looked directly into her eyes. "I'm not joking anymore." She stopped smiling. The wind gently moved her hair. "Damien, you hardly know me." "I know enough. I know you stayed kind after people were cruel. I know you helped strangers without expecting anything. I know you never changed yourself just to please the world." He stepped one step closer. "And that's the woman I want beside me." Tears slowly filled Olivia's eyes. For years, she had believed no one would ever truly see her. Not beyond her curves. Not beyond the jokes. Not beyond the whispers. Yet this man, the most feared mafia boss in the city, saw everything she thought she had hidden. 6 months later, the same ballroom hosted another charity gala. This time, Damien entered holding Olivia's hand. Nobody laughed. Nobody whispered. Instead, the guests stood and applauded. The television host who once mocked Olivia publicly apologized during a live interview. The socialites who laughed at her now asked for photographs. She politely smiled, but she never forgot who they had been, because respect given only after success was never real respect. As the orchestra began another waltz, Damien extended his hand once again. "Dance with me." Olivia smiled. "I thought one dance meant marriage." Damien laughed. "It did, but now, I'd like every dance after that, too." She placed her hand in his. They stepped onto the dance floor together. This time, no one saw a mafia boss and a curvy woman. They saw two people who had found each other despite a world that judged too quickly. Sometimes, the loudest people in the room are also the most wrong. And sometimes, the woman everyone underestimated is the one who leaves an entire ballroom standing in applause. Because true beauty is never measured by a dress size. It is measured by the courage to keep dancing, even after the world tells you to stop.